Phil and Bob are sound only.
Okay,
That's right.
yeah, I'm good.
Ready? I'm good. Yep.
Yes, I'm ready. Anita's ready.
Okay.
Here we go.
Regular meeting of the Mayor Council
And Miss Joanne.
for Monday, April 6th, 2020 will come to order via the internet. Please call roll, Donnelly.
Councilman Borowski,
Here.
Councilman Lamb,
Here?
Council President Salem,
Here.
Councilman Stockdale,
Here. Here we are.
Councilman Fincher,
Here.
and Councilwoman Philpott.
Please read the Open Public Meetings Act statement.
Notice of the full council meeting was published in the Open Star on January 10th, 2020. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, this meeting was closed to the public physically and will be live streamed via YouTube with comment periods for the public. Notice of this meeting was posted on our website with instructions on how the public can connect to this YouTube council meeting.
Thank you. I think we can dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance since I don't have a flag handy. Oh, there's one for Dave. Dave, that's Dave.
Dave has the flag behind him.
All right. Okay. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of
United
America.
States of America.
And to the republic,
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right. There he is. Moment of silence. Local resident Patty Bennett. Husband owns the Casino Pier, longtime fixture. Fritz Rowley's sister passed away last week. So I asked that you go up for a moment of silence. And after that, we did the pledge already. So just a moment of silence, please. All right, next up, we have approval of the minutes. We have the caucus regular meetings minutes of March 2nd, 2020, and the regular meeting minutes of March 23rd, 2020. A roll call, please.
Councilman Borowski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Philpott,
Yes.
Council President Salem,
Yes.
Councilman Stockdale,
Yes.
Councilman Fincher,
Yes.
Councilman Lamb.
Yes. Okay, that motion is approved. I understand that we're gonna waive the reading of all of the reports to save some time and be here. Also waiving the comments from the public. Since we're not in public, we can dispense with that. That takes us right into the agenda. We have the consent agenda. Number 118, requiring mandatory governing body certification of compliance with the U.S. Equal Opportunity Commission enforcement guidance on the consideration of arrest and conviction records and employment decisions under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. That just requires us to not consider in most instances the criminal record. 119, authorizing an interlocal services agreement between the Borough of Loveland and Tom's River Fire Commissioners District 1 to provide fuel to fire vehicles of the Ocean Beach Fire Company. 120, strongly urging Governor Murphy to fill the existing vacancy on the New Jersey Turnpike Authority Board of Commissioners with an Ocean County resident and try to reconsider any that increases tolls on the Garden State Parkway and the New Jersey Turnpike. Any comments from the council on that?
I have one question, Mayor. 118, does that mean that we cannot consider or that we don't have to consider? Or we shouldn't consider?
Mr. George, can you explain that one for us?
I can, Your Honor. Good evening, everyone. The enforcement guidance under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act says that criminal history cannot be combined with racial background to consider one candidate over another if there are, for instance, a disorderly person's arrest when someone was in their 20s for a minor marijuana charge, and the municipality has two candidates, one who has, both of which have that face sort of disorderly, one is white, one is black. You cannot use the criminal history to enhance the candidacy of one over another.
Okay,
You satisfied, Mrs. Phillips?
yes, sir.
Now I have a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Borowski? Councilman Philpott?
Yes,
Council President Salem?
Yes.
Councilman Stockdale?
Yes.
Councilman Fincher?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Yes. That motion is approved. Next, we have the bills list number 121, the amount of $1,370,156.25.
Motion. Second.
Second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Borowski?
Yes.
Councilman Philpott?
yes,
Council President Salem?
Yes.
Councilman Stockdale?
Yes.
Councilman Fincher?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Yes. That motion is approved. Ordinance is on for final adoption, public hearing. Ordinance number 2020-03, ordinance of the Borough of Loveland, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 7 of the Borough Code entitled Bathing and Beach Control, amending Section 7-9 entitled Beach Badge Fees. This is the daily fees and the weekly fees only, because we did the seasonal already. And they are changing the dailies up to $12 from $10 that it was in 2019, and weekly $35 from $30 it was in 2019. Any discussion?
Everybody's in agreement with that? I mean, as far as the, our capital lifeguards and the various other people, it's gonna be a lot of change there, isn't there, with $12? You know, you're gonna have to give a lot of change.
Yeah, but Bob, we're gonna need it with the increased salaries and the increased competition with other towns to keep those places filled, those slots, so we're
I
anticipating.
agree with I agree with the increases, I'm just wondering if they're gonna be able to manage all the change, that's all.
Yeah, I had that conversation with Pam, and that was the main topic, was the change, and she felt that there would be no problem.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, any other comments?
I'll move it. Second.
Public comment, how are we supposed to do that?
We're gonna open this up, Mayor, on the chat, and then I will read anything to you that comes in.
All right,
So just give us a minute.
I'll give you a minute.
Time for a break?
If you want, Bob.
Somebody would like to sing at this point, go ahead.
remind the people to give their name and address for the record.
Yes.
How about we, can we introduce the second one and then come back to this? Mr. George, will that work?
I'm sorry, Mayor, again, please.
Can we introduce the second ordinance, and then if we have comments, come back to the first ordinance and do the final vote on that?
Now we have to proceed with this one. We can wait a few more minutes.
All right, very good.
I'm just throwing a question out there. It's Anita. Are we thinking anything of possibly opening the beaches and not the boardwalk? Some towns are starting to do that. Open the beach, but not the boardwalk. Anybody thinking about that?
I don't think it's time yet.
No? Okay. All right, just want to throw that out.
That's my
People
opinion.
who come to me,
Well,
fishers and fishermen and, okay. Just a thought. Seaside Park opened their beaches, not their boardwalk.
We'll take a look at it, Anita. We can, by a resolution, reverse that, I believe. Mr. George, can we do that?
That is correct, Mayor.
they don't have the number of openings that we have, so ours is a little more difficult to do on a limited basis. Be like the flow.
The fishermen are unhappy. They like to go and fish. And I think it's probably more dangerous on the boardwalk than the beach. Anyway, they've approached, so I said I would bring it up at the meeting.
Would we be able to open it just to fishermen?
Oh, I don't
I
know.
don't believe so.
I don't think so.
No, you can't, under the, emergency orders and the regulations, it's either open or closed.
Open and close, easier.
What happens if you open it, they're all, so that if you walk on the boardwalk, they'll all walk on the beach. And there's, I don't know how many you're talking about. They're not in compliance already. And
Or some are,
they're spreading out
some
around.
were very specific as far as fishermen can stay after 12. Remember that? Well, as long as you had a fishing pole, the police would leave you alone. So
Yeah, I remember that.
So, but that's, you know, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, so I'm good.
Yeah, I know a guy in my street fishes all the time, and he really misses being on the ocean.
Well, Island Beach State Park is still open.
Oh, yeah, that's where they go.
Mayor, related,
But they prefer Lavalette.
Mayor, related to this topic, I did receive notification from the DEP today. They will have crews tomorrow and on Wednesday on the beach with vehicles doing survey work and assessment work to see how the beach is going to be exposed to possible storm damage in the future.
Wow, okay.
So the DEP, you will see DEP vehicles up there tomorrow. Back to the matter at hand, though, Mayor. We've had it open for several minutes. We have no comments on this pending ordinance.
Okay, can I have a roll call, please?
Councilman Borowski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Philpott,
Yes.
Council President Salem,
Yes,
Councilman Stockdale,
Yes.
Councilman Finter,
Yes.
Councilman Lamb.
Yes.
And that motion is approved. Ordinance for introduction and first reading is ordinance number 2020-04. Ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriations limit and to establish a bank cap. This is something that we do annually. We've never had to exceed the 2% cap and use that bank, but we still do it just in case we need to down the road. Can I have a motion to?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Councilman Borowski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Philpott,
Yes.
Council President Salem,
yes,
Councilman Stockdale,
Yes.
Councilman Finter,
Yes.
Councilman Lamb.
Yes.
And that motion is approved. Public hearing and final adoption is scheduled for April 20th, 2020. Introduction of the 2020 budget. Madam Clerk, would you read the budget resolution?
Yes. This is the introduction for the 2020 municipal budget for the Borough of Lavalette fiscal year 2020. It is hereby certified that the budget and capital budget annexed hereto and hereby made a part hereof is a true copy of the budget and capital budget that will be approved by resolution of the governing body today, April 6, 2020, and that public advertisement will be made in accordance with the provisions. The summary of the current section of approved budget, general appropriations for appropriation within cap, for municipal purposes, $7,684,550. Municipal appropriations excluded from cap, municipal purposes, $1,102,333.20. Total general appropriations excluded from cap, $1,102,333.20. Reserve for uncollected taxes based on estimated 97.75% of tax collection, $430,000. For total general appropriations of $9,216,883.20.
well said.
Thank you.
Okay.
A little discussion of what's going on here with the budget for the public consumption. Last year we did have a reval, and obviously that changes the numbers. So it's important that the public understand what we're talking about here. In the previous total land and improvement valuation in the borough of Lavalette was $1,915,425. Excuse me, $1,915,425,425. $425,384. The new total assessment is $2,375,000,000 value. And that resulted, because our valuations are higher, we have to have a lower tax rate in order for the 2019 budget to remain the same. That resulted in a decrease in the tax rate for municipal purposes of 18.1%, going from a 0.311 down to a 0.255. So that takes care of the reval. Now we're down to 255, and we're here to introduce our 2020 budget. Appropriations actually for 2020 are a little bit less than they were for 2019. 19 we had 9,247,612. 2020 proposed $9,216,883. A decrease of $30,729 in appropriations, which equals 0.33%, 1/3 of 1%. So we're expecting less, but our sources of revenue are slightly less as well. I had intended to try to bring the new budget in at 1/4 cent. That was before the coronavirus hit us. Now we're faced with a lot of unknowns here for the 2020 budget. What are they? Beach revenues over $1 million. Are we going to have a beach? Maybe not. Are we going to have any employees? Maybe not. So they would balance out. You know, the insurance companies require if you have one single beach to be open, the entire beach to be open. It's likely that we're going to have employee costs and maintenance costs up there, and we have no idea what's going to happen with the revenue up there. We could have a banner year, or we could have a really bad year. If we have a really bad year, we're going to be short $800,000. In addition to that, we have unknowns when it comes to our regular labor force. You know, you lose a couple police officers to this coronavirus. We're talking about overtime to pay people to replace them. DPW, somebody gets sick, got to replace them with overtime because we have to continue the service. So faced with these unknowns, the auditor, the administrator, the CFO, and I decided that it's probably best to maintain the half a cent number that we did in 2019 to again raise the taxes that much this year, just to be sure that we have enough money to get through this crisis without impacting us substantially. Of note in this
we might
budget,
start getting state money too, right? Well, we get some state money also that may dry up.
we get some, yeah, you know, there is a declared state of emergency, but you know, you can't count on it yet. We can't anticipate it until they tell us, so we don't want to run short on cash. So this budget has $1.6 million anticipated budget surplus, which is the same as last year, and is higher than we have traditionally liked to do. We used to like to keep it around $750,000. It's substantially higher than that right now. I was hoping to get into that a little bit to bring these this rate, keep it flat or keep it at 1/4 cent. On the advice of our experts, I think the best thing at this point is to just take the half a cent increase, and we'll address it next year. Hopefully, we do not need this, and we'll have a much larger budget surplus next year that will just not raise taxes at all, or maybe even a cut. But with the unknowns, I think it's important that we have enough cash. Our lessons from Sandy, when we had cash on hand, we were able to get through that crisis easily, and I think that we'll be able to get through this one as well easily, knowing that we have this kind of cash on hand. Your comments?
Agreed.
More things to do.
Mayor, how much would we have to take from surplus to get the half to 1/4? How much would the point cost us?
A point is about $180,000.
A full point?
Yeah, full point. We're going up a half point now, which is, I think it's $94,000.
So if you took 45,000 out of surplus from the $1.6 million, we could go down to a 1/4 point, and you think that makes an impact on our surplus at $1.6 million?
Mr. Price, can you answer those questions?
So you did a good job explaining, Mayor, for this year, but the one thing we want to look at
Still
too
available.
with next year is also, I'm sorry,
I think we
you
lost
saying
him.
something?
Matt's mic is off, you can see from the screen.
I'm looking at sheet number 11A, Joanne, and a half.
You got me now?
100,775. A half a point is 118.
You got me, Mayor?
Yeah,
You have me now? Okay.
Yeah.
Going into, the mayor did a good job explaining, with this year, with the 2020 budget, but also with surplus. The reason we don't want to sell ourselves short on surplus is for next year. If we end up having issues with our collection rate, right now our collection rate this year was excellent. It was 99.25%. That's a rarity. Unfortunately with that, the only place to really go is down, particularly with economic hardship affecting some people. That 99.25, even a small deviation on that, something we may feel. So we want to prepare for that. We want to prepare for, as the mayor said, not only beach revenue decline this year, but possibly next year as well. And then even something else out there, another specter, is our return on investment. As you see, everybody I'm sure is following their own stocks out there. We don't know what the returns on our investments will be this year. So that's something we want to prepare for in the form of revenue.
my question was, is our surplus $1.6 million, Wally, as you said, Mayor?
Yes. Yes.
So, and normally our surplus is around $750,000.
Well, anticipated will be 1.6. Realized will probably be about 1.1.
Based on what?
Based on that's what gets realized as opposed to the anticipated. The anticipated is 1.6. Or realized, the surplus balance will probably end up being more like 1.1 going into the year.
I'm just trying to compare the philosophy of the past with the philosophy of this budget. If we have in the past, and I happen to recall, if I'm correct, the surplus in the Sandy year was $750,000, and that amount of money, that dollar amount, is what we needed and used to get ourselves going in the recovery. So now you're saying that we have more than double that anticipated. And I understand why we would want it to be more than 750. My question is, do we really need $1.6 million to protect ourselves against whatever we might be facing, while we're at the same time increasing everybody's taxes by that 0.5% or 0.25%? Because if we could go back to 1/4, it would be better. If they're under hardship, they're still under hardship as we increase their taxes. We're not helping them either. So I'm just trying to get I'm not taking a position one way or the other.
So again, to correct you on that, our surplus for 2009, our anticipated surplus for 2019 was also 1.6. Realized was more like around 900,000. This year our anticipated is 1.6, but our realized will be about 1.1. So the anticipated surplus isn't what you actually end up getting out of surplus.
The 750 is the number that we normally get, not
Yeah.
anticipate.
Yeah, we were at about 9 last year. This year will be about 1.1.
So we're just afraid that if we have some real issues on the beach, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars potential exposure up there, which could take us below even that 750. Now the real impact, I think more than half of the property owners in town got a tax cut because of the rebound. So this added, if their house now is valued at $876,000, they're going to see an increase of $33.20 this year based upon this budget. So many were cut, and now we're going to add 33 to that. I know, people had several hundred cut from the budget, cut from their tax bill last year. Now we're boosting it back up. And I'm comfortable with it because of the unknowns here. I certainly think that next year it's appropriate to address that. Bob, what are you drinking at?
Some soda.
All right, any other comments?
Okay. No, I'm very happy with the whole situation. And people are going down in taxes. They're not going to go up much higher. I think they've done a great job with this budget. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I have one other question about the budget that doesn't have to do with this tax rate, just for clarification. In the capital improvement plan, I understand what's planned for this coming year, but there's a future year, 21, 22 future capital budget plan. That does not in any way impact this current budget. That's just a plan. Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay.
We can give some of that surplus back next year too, if we're running, so high in our surpluses, we can give some of that back to reduce next year's budget also, right?
We cannot increase next year's budget, Bob. We can make additional payments on some of the bands that we have, which we've been doing, and really a good job of paying almost as we go with that. So we can split it. We can direct any number of places. We need to look at those tennis courts. We've got things that we can do in the capital budget. A lot of options, and it's great to be able to have, should we survive 2020 beach season with some extra money.
Right, but we don't know, so it's worth having the extra at this moment.
I think it's important to have it. It's just too many unknowns at this point. We could be closed.
Okay, you're right. I agree, Mayor. Anita agrees.
Thank you, Anita.
I agree.
Any other comments?
Mayor's part, we're going to discuss the utilities independent of the.
Go ahead. You want to talk about those? That's great. I'd appreciate the help here.
I just, at first glance, it just appears that the plan for next year is to keep our rates the same.
That is correct. Yes.
So our utilities are seeing no increase despite the increases in the sewer and the water, the repairs that we're doing to the wells. We're in a situation where we'll be able to maintain the rates in the current structure.
Well, actually, Jim, if you look at the paperwork that we've got, the appropriations again are going down for all three of the utilities. Last year, water was 1,107,000. This year we're anticipating spending 1,010,000. So down almost $97,000 there. Sewer last year 1,693, this year 1,684. So that's decreasing in appropriations as well. And electric, substantial decrease from 4,003,000 to 3,001,000 due to your work here on buying electricity. So yes, we don't anticipate any increases whatsoever in any of the three utilities.
Just in one of those, just as a matter of for your information, water increased this past weekend by about 15% or so by all our extra residents. So, I don't know how that's going to affect anything. Maybe this is just a short-term phenomenon. I don't know.
Well, we did have a blip in the amount billed by the Ocean County Storage Authority, and we're anticipating that in here. And we got notice, so even with that, we're not needing to increase the rates there at all.
Right.
Mayor, it's Anita. You mentioned something about if your house was valued at a certain amount, what your tax increase could be. Can you give us that kind of a thing again for the public?
Absolutely. If your house is, let me find it here.
897, wasn't it? 800.
That's that 690,000. Your taxes for local purposes are $1,759, which is an increase. Excuse me, that's a decrease. I got this wrong. Assessment of.
I thought you said 800.
800. Now where is it now?
Wasn't it 895?
It's right here, Mayor. It's 870, 876, 244 in 2020, and it was 707, 786 in 2019.
So the increase under this budget on 876 and things is $33.20. That's
a year?
Yes. And
whoa.
1.51%, well under the 2% we're allowed to increase without having a referendum. So we're well under that. But $33.20 is the increase on a house worth almost $900,000.
That doesn't.
All right. That's good for people to hear.
That's the school or the That's just local.
That's correct. That is the local purposes portion of that only.
Good, thank you.
Because the school budget projection and the county budget projection that was given are both up.
Yes.
Not a lot, but they're up.
Yes. Mr. Price, do you have those numbers by any chance? How much they're up?
The school, the county, I don't have them down in my office. I don't have them right here with me right now.
I think that might be able to get them if I have the right things.
Actually, I do have them. The county is going to be, so this, let's start with the school. The school is 3.936 million, and the county is 9.097 million.
Yeah, but how much is it up from the previous year?
I don't have the year-to-date from 19 to 20 here. I just have 20s.
I might have it. The local tax, the school tax went from 3,000,008 to 3,000,009, so it's 100,000 up there. They don't break it out into what percentage or how much of a cent it would be. County tax, 8,919,000 to 9,097, so that's just a little bit. $20,000 there, maybe. 23,000 to be exact.
Okay, so
Increase was directly related to the referendum that was passed.
Absolutely.
Not about that.
Passed by the voters. Okay, any other comments from council on the budget introduction?
Oh, good job, guys, good job.
I hear a motion to approve introduction.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Borowski,
Yes.
Councilman Philpott,
Yes.
Council President Salem,
Yes,
Councilman Thacia,
Yes.
Councilman Fincher,
Yes.
Councilman Lamb.
Yes.
That is approved. Public hearing and final adoption of the budget is scheduled for May 4th, 2020. Hopefully we'll have a live meeting and we can have our auditor and our CFO at the meeting again. Unfinished business. Any council member want to talk about some unfinished business?
Mayor, I have something for you.
We're getting done when well 4 is going to be started at the end of this week. So, hopefully we'll get that up and running before Memorial Day, which is what we kind of counted on. So, just want to mention that.
Good.
Mr. Mayor, I was down on the Bayfront today, looked at the new moorings that were put in, and absolutely Public Works did an excellent job with that.
Are they done with that one?
Yeah, they're in and they are numbered, so yeah, they look great.
Yeah, they rented a machine that attached to the Bobcat. It was a boring machine, so they could drill the holes and put those new posts in really, really quickly. And
Yes. I mean,
like purchasing that.
big
I'm
improvement.
not sure you knew about that for putting the fence posts in for the snow fences and all that stuff. They used one at United Locals there, and I'm sure you're going to be hearing about that. But it worked really, really well.
They did a repair on that building down there too. They rebuilt it. It looks fabulous. The whole thing was rebuilt
Which one's that?
Yep.
by the T-Dock.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They did a really good job. And from what I gathered, it was all materials that were left over from other projects.
Oh, great. I love it.
Yeah.
Any other unfinished business?
Mayor, I do have one issue. A couple months ago, we had commissioned O'Donnell Stanton to give us a proposal for the inflow infiltration study. They've since given us that proposal. I think it's been submitted to all of you as well. It's coming in at a price of $6,000 to perform the study. I recommend that they go ahead and perform that study so we can determine how our inflow and infiltration issues are affecting the Ocean County Utility Authority.
Is that just your work on the study, and now we have to also hire a company to do the videoing of that?
Yes,
That was recommended by the Ocean County Utilities Authority people.
Yes, that's just the engineering portion of it, that's not the actual labor to have the cameras run through.
Oh, yeah.
Still reasonable for engineering.
yes,
You want to
engineering only.
make a motion on that tonight to approve that, so we can get that going?
I'll move.
Second.
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman Brownski,
Yes.
Councilman Philpott,
Yes.
Council President Salem,
Yes.
Councilman Stockdale,
Yes.
Councilman Fincher,
Yes.
Councilman Lamb.
Yes.
And that motion is approved. Any other unfinished business?
Mayor, just one more thing to follow up what Mr. Lamb was speaking of with well 4. I did speak to the engineer. As Mr. Lamb said, they'll be starting the end of this week, and it's a 25 workday projected project. So that should put us in time for Memorial Day.
Thanks, Robert.
Good. All right, any other unfinished? If that's it, we'll move on to new business. I'm going to start off on that if you don't mind. I got an email from the mayor of Island Heights about some potential green or environmental type projects that they're looking to fund through this $2 trillion appropriation on the federal level. When I read it, it may have to do with living shorelines and riparian issues. And they're looking for projects that are nearly shovel ready. And I thought that perhaps the remainder of our bulkhead project down there and that living shoreline jetty, they can roll the dredging into that project. So I think we ought to have Mr. Bryce, I forwarded him the link today, see if we can try to get some funding for some of that stuff down there through this new grant.
Yeah, Mayor, last week I actually spoke to Dr. Farrell down at Stockton about that living shoreline. He is finalizing the proposal, and he should have it to us shortly. So I'll let him know that we're looking to do this.
Yeah, those were the words right in the release that I got, living shoreline.
Yeah.
Perfect, riparian issues. Well, that's what we have down there with our bulkheads, so it's like a perfect match, and maybe we can get some money to finish that project up.
Yeah, he was working on that proposal, and it should be done soon.
We do have that window in June to do some more dredging. If we get some approvals, we may be worth looking into hiring our own people to get in there and do that. Or I do believe that these contracts for the state will be coming back, but we got to pay them $40 a cubic yard to move it. We got a grant that's not so bad. All right, any other new business? Hearing none.
Mayor, I don't know if this is really business or not. You know, the Ocean County Health Department publishes the statistics on virus cases town by town. Very appreciative to at least know where we stand, and our numbers are acceptable, I guess, and we have no choice. Someone, and I can't even remember who it is, sent me a link to the reporting that is done by Gloucester County. This person on Facebook wanted to know if we knew the age or the sex or any non-identifying information other than generalities on any of the patients, and things like, are they still in the hospital? Have they recovered? Are they, you know, that kind of thing. So the Gloucester County cases it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-column report, and the cases are listed by number. They're up in the hundreds, and it's the date that the case was identified, the sex of the patient, the age of the patient, and of course the community in the county from which that person came. It's very thorough as compared to Lavalette. You have cases or 4 cases, you know, so that's 3, and that's all the information that you have. So I'm just wondering if we can appeal to the county to try to create a little bit more specific information. I think it's calming to the community to know a little bit more. I've explained to people, generally speaking, that the HIPAA regulations, you know, prevent any specifics, but generalities. I don't think someone's age or gender is necessarily identifying to any particular party. The rumors are flying, like crazy. So, I just wonder if it's worth even trying to do that. I do have a copy of that report, and I would be glad to get it to Mr. Price as a sample to show what other counties. I don't know about the other counties. This is Gloucester County. As compared to Ocean County, this is much more thorough. So just a suggestion.
Well, I know that Mr. Price is really on top of getting the information off the out of the state and the county. Mr. Price, you have some comments on what we can and can't do here, or whether it's likely to change?
Yeah, you want me to give comments about, in general about COVID, Mayor, like we spoke about?
If you don't mind, that would be great, yeah.
Just again to remind you, the Chief Grant and I continue to participate in all county level, state level, and federal conference calls. And we talk several times daily amongst each other, as well as all of the department heads, to stay up on the information. Additionally, I continue to update the council members with all the information that you need as well. As far as the notifications go, I'm not going to talk about any other county, but I could talk about what Ocean County is doing. I can tell you Ocean County is completely within the parameters set forth by the Attorney General. This information is very tightly governed. The way it happens is it comes down from the state level each day, twice a day, in the morning and the afternoon, and it goes to the county. The county then has a process that they have to follow through to verify certain things and go through the information before they can even release it to us. The way the Attorney General has it is the only stuff that could be released to a municipality is the address, and he had such, and they changed it last week where now you can get the name as well. That information is only to be used for first responder purposes. It's put in the police database, so when a call comes in at a residence, they'll know who the person is and where that address is. If there's a first aid call there, they're not going in blind. They know that this person is COVID positive. That's the information that flows to us. The information at the county level, again, I know what the Attorney General has dictated. I know what Ocean County is releasing. And it's my opinion Ocean County is releasing everything they can. I'm not going to go, say what another county is doing or isn't doing, but I'll tell you what Ocean County is doing appears to be fully within the parameters of what the Attorney General has set forth. I'll keep going on now here as well. Just a couple briefings. All 4 of the county hospitals are experiencing high COVID cases. Going back to our totals that Mrs. Pertone spoke about, if you look at the Department of Health website right now, it says 5 cases. We believe it's actually 4, and we're working with them to correct that. One case that's showing in our town, we believe, is a former resident that no longer lives in our town, lives in another Ocean County municipality. So we're working to rectify that. But right now, it looks like we have 4 positive cases that we know of. That's not to say that someone didn't come from another jurisdiction and is, taking up residence in the house, which leads me to my next point. We continue to see a large population influx for the non-peak season time of year. As Mr. Lamb said, the last couple weekends, we continue to see 15% increases in our water service being put out to residents. To repeat what Governor Murphy and Dr. Fauci and people at the state and federal levels have said, this isn't the time to travel. Please stay in your primary residence. In addition to that, we have several residents that are returning home from other parts of the country where they may have been over the winter. We encourage them and anyone else from any other area, if you are coming here, to self-quarantine and practice social distancing guidelines. The Ocean County College, anybody that does believe that they're positive and they cannot get a test, if you have a doctor's note or a script, the county is conducting COVID testing at Ocean County College. The site's been operational all last week. They were doing about 150 tests a day. I think today they actually did 190 tests. Again, patients must exhibit symptoms and they need a doctor's note or a script. They can go to the Ocean County Health Department website for further information there. As far as our supplies here in Lavalette for our first responders, we were initially very low, as I stated in previous briefings to you. Thanks to several measures with our entities being able to reach out and order some supplies, as well as the county ordering supplies and sharing them with all the municipalities, we're in a much better state right now. I think we are prepared to be able to respond to whatever needs we have for our emergency services. Chief Grant has those supplies and will continue to distribute them to all our agencies that need it, our emergency services. As far as emergency services go, all police, fire, and EMS services are operating without any disruption. Garbage and recycling pickup, water and sewer pickup, electrical services all remain unchanged. There is some change to the building and zoning department. There will be limited inspections. They'll only inspect unoccupied or new construction at this point. They will come back and inspect occupied structures. We're not going to put them in houses where there are occupants. But they are open to accept permits and applications. And things are continuing to flow unabated there as far as progress on the building front and the home sales front if needed. Lavalette Borough Hall, we continue to be open with restricted access to the public. The public can basically just get into the foyers to use the post office and go to the police window if they had to. All departments are closed to the public. The public is directed to use drop boxes, websites, and telephones to contact anyone inside any of our offices. We are tracking all related expenses to COVID-19 as far as our equipment procurements and our personnel. If we have the opportunity to get reimbursement, we will do that. But with this particular crisis, this isn't a hurricane, this isn't a snowstorm. You're literally competing with probably every municipality, county, state in the country for funds. So I don't know what funds will be available there, but we are tracking all our expenses in the meantime. As the mayor said, we have made some budget moves to prepare ourselves for any unexpected costs as well. I want to clarify, our municipal parks are open. The municipal parks are not closed. However, all playgrounds, basketball courts, tennis courts, and pickleball courts, as well as the boardwalk and the beach, remain closed to the public. People could still go walk around the park or enjoy a park as long as they're practicing social distancing. The Lavalette PD is doing checks of the boardwalk and responding to any complaints if there are crowds up there. County parks, however, all county parks are closed as of last week. And that's all I have, sir. If the residents would continue to monitor our website, lavalette.org, we have a whole COVID section there, and that will provide you with the latest up-to-date information.
Mayor, just to stay on that one topic, I spoke to Ted Galabowski, our acting superintendent. He said that they're going to put a sign on every street. I know you guys set it up with just those large streets, President in New York and such, but he's going to put a sign up on every street that the boardwalk and the beach are closed.
That's good. And just for the record, the basketball courts have been used with the good weather.
How was that?
Blocking that off or roping it off or whatever they're doing, it's not working.
They're not able to get a ball through the basket. How are they playing it?
They were playing basketball today.
Today?
I don't know. I didn't go see it myself. It was just reported that they were on the basketball court.
If I could also just go ahead, one other thing. I know you mentioned Facebook, and I'd like to take this opportunity. A lot of information out there needs to be verified. As the government will tell you at the federal level and the state level, please rely on verifiable sources of information. Facebook, there's a lot of false information there. We were looking today at some things. We tried to go ahead and in our daily reports and the information we have on the website, we try to counter that, but there's a lot of false information on Facebook as well as other Instagram. Please verify it. There's a lot of scams out there, as I spoke about last meeting. There are scams that they are tracing back to entities who, wish this country harm, foreign entities, and they're intentionally soliciting a lot of false information. I know they're not soliciting information about our basketball courts, but we also know, some information may be put out there that isn't timely. For instance, like you're talking about this, Opal, maybe this person isn't fully versed with the boundaries of Lavalette, and they were down along Bay Boulevard and Tom's River and saw that basketball court
No,
use.
it's
Or-
something that
yeah.
novel. I mean,
But I don't know, because we have boards over the basket. I don't know, the basketball courts aren't functional.
All right, we're still on new business, not the council comments yet, but any other new business? Mr. Bryce, you good?
I am good, sir.
Okay, then let's open the floor to public comment at this point, see if we get any comments in there that we need to address.
Yeah, I have a couple already flowing in here. Okay, you want to just read them all, Mayor, and you can go back and address them?
Why don't you read them one at a time, and I'll give you a yes or no if we're going to address it.
George Coss, can't open beach without impacting boardwalk. Maureen Lawrence, she has a couple here. Can I respectfully ask why the council members on this call aren't visible to the community? We responded to her, some members were having internet access, but just to clarify, all 5 council members and the mayor are visible. One council member is not, that's Mrs. Alone, due to technical difficulties, but you should be able to see the majority of people. 6 of the 7 elected officials should be up there. She responded, unacceptable to be fair. It's helpful for our community to see our leaders. Would be happy to help with any technology issue. Tom Shaw, Fred Ledoux took 27 minutes to get a connection. Will this be available online later? The video will be on YouTube to answer people's questions there. George Koss, I think the council is doing all it can under these circumstances to bring the meeting to the public. Technical problems are expected since this is the first time doing this. John Corney, who is reciting the budget numbers? No picture of speaker. Just to go and clarify again with as far as the format we're doing this meeting, the state actually sent out several recommendations for municipalities to conduct meetings. There's no requirement for video. Some towns are doing a strict conference call that people could dial into. They only require audio. There's no video requirement, but we are making the effort here to get the video requirement. You will only see the council members and the mayor. You will not see anybody else. Maureen Lawrence, 100% agrees, second meeting, but would be very happy to help. Christian LaCicero, Mr. Bryce, Maureen Lawrence, John Corney, our mayor. John Corney, number were being recited, add no council members, Moth was moving, had to BB Bryce. I don't know who BB Bryce is. Susan Koch, could the increase in water usage be in part from residents being in their homes instead of leaving during the day to go to work? Just a thought. George Koss, the only people hearing the mandate to stay in your primary home are the full-time residents of Lavalette. Part-timers are not listening. Do not open the beach. It will impact the boardwalk. Greg Sharkey, thank you for closing the beach and boardwalk. Please keep them closed without exception. We are in a New Jersey state of emergency. May everyone be safe. Mark Speaker, thank you for making the meeting and updated information available to us as well. Well done. Mark Speaker. Marlene Brown Chamberlain, we are seeing many, many visitors on the benches on the dunes. And as of now, Mayor, that is the comments.
All right, council comments. Anyone got any comments?
Stay on that one theme about the boardwalk and the beach being closed. Is there a certain statute that they're writing under? I know Mrs. Philpone said about a disorderly type of summons if there's violations. I'm not sure how to approach that, but I think the police needed some direction on what to actually write if there was somebody that was not complying with the with the directive about removing yourself from the boardwalk to the beach.
I'll double check with them. They did get that information. It was under Executive Order 107. And we'll double check on that. It was a subsequent order from Colonel Callahan, so I'll make sure they have that information.
Well, I think if it's based upon our emergency order, then the summons ought to be written on a borough summons so that all the fines and costs to go to the borough will let
Well, I think the issue is that we don't have a specific ordinance to close the boardwalk and the beach with a penalty to go with that as we enforce it. However, in the governor's executive order, where he makes a statement like, well, this is going to be enforced as disorderly persons charge. Well, Loveland has a disorderly persons charge on our books. So if we implement our disorderly persons charge and include this, is that possible? That's what Mr. Lamb and I discussed. Is it possible to write the violation for boardwalk or beach violations as a disorderly person?
Mr. George, could you do the research for us quickly and get us an answer by midweek on that?
I can get it for you tomorrow, Mayor. I do recall that we drafted many years ago a Lavalette ordinance for disorderly after we had an issue. But there, I believe when I was preparing an opinion with regard to the issue when it came up last week that there is a provision in Title VII that would allow us to issue a violation under our public trust Article 7, and I will have that for you tomorrow.
Thank you. You may hear the thinking. I just got an instant message from one of our sergeants that the Attorney General has already issued some guidance as to what the right is as a disorderly person. So,
correct.
We'll coordinate Mr. George with the Attorney General and get it to our police department, and we'll be able to do some enforcement. You know, as the weather gets warmer, we're going to see more and more and more people here. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to do something about it. I did get a phone call over the weekend asking that we stop all North Jersey people from coming here and block the roads off. And obviously, that's a little bit beyond what we're allowed to do under the Attorney General's guidelines at this point. I don't know how we would enforce that anyway, short of a Sandy type blockade, which we don't have the power to do.
Right.
But
While we're talking about the opening of the beach and the boardwalk, New Jersey is currently under, the largest hotspot in the country, along with New York and the metropolitan area. I think it's foolish of us to even consider that until that critical state of emergency is at least lessened or removed. This is not the time. The president and Mayor, Governor Cuomo and Governor Murphy all have said that the next week and a half, 10 days, maybe 2 weeks could be the worst that we see. So I think it's just, we have another meeting in 2 weeks. I think we can visit this issue every time we have a meeting and figure out if we can or should do anything at the time. I think it's way too early to even consider it.
Well, here's what confused me about the whole thing. People ask me if I know what's going on up there on the boardwalk, and my answer is no. Why don't I? Because I'm following the orders and I'm staying home. How do these people know there's other people out there unless they're out there themselves?
Well, some of the things that get posted are from people who live on the ocean close up or on oceanfront homes. I mean, there's photos out there. A lot of times it's young people, but it's not always. You know, they come down. A lot of people, I think, are coming the long weekends, and the locals are doing it too. I'm not going to excuse anybody. If you're up there, you're welcome. Period. That's the bottom line. We have 28 blocks in town. We have 2 highways. We have Bay Boulevard. We have Baltimore Avenue, and we have all of West Point Island. If people want to go out for a walk, there's plenty of room for them to social distance. A lot of bike riding this past weekend, which is probably the best because you can't get too close to anybody, each on your own bike. So they have to make do for now, and what we can do is do the best we can under the circumstances, which I believe are quite dangerous right now.
All right, any other council comments?
I'm going to go very fast. It's Anita.
Okay, Anita, go ahead.
First, I want to thank Mr. Bryce for keeping us so informed. His emails are wonderful, and he looks up into things, and he really keeps us informed. Thank you, Mr. Bryce. Public Works, I want to thank them for continuing what they're doing and even doing more. It's just amazing what they're able to accomplish with all this. And I have to tell you a little story. I won't mention any names, but two cop cars were on my street because there was a dog loose. So the cops picked the dog up and put it in the car. And I said, I'll find out, don't worry, because he said, I have a little puppy here, I don't know who it belongs to. So he kept it in the car, and then finally, I listened and looked around, and I found the person who was screaming and crying for Molly, her dog. And I called the police up, and they brought it over, and they said, look, we wouldn't have done anything. I put this little dog on my feet right next to me, and I kept him there until you found the person that he belonged to. So I mean, that's a special little thing that our police go out of their way to do. They're very, very friendly people, and I've heard that from people that are around town. Next, I want to thank the mayor very much for his wonderful explanation of the budget. I looked at it today online and tried to study it as I was sitting there trying to get a suntan. But anyway, his explanation was wonderful, not just for us, but for the public, because they want to know exactly how much my house will go up. They realize we do the best we can. And thank you for doing such a great budget, Krista, Bob, Wally, thank you for the budget. And just mentioning on a good note, hopefully the beaches are all going to be open. We were very fortunate to get a lot of this free. We got the Matrax, we got money for the Matrax. We got money for the beach wheels. When Joanne and I met this guy with his company Access Rec, he said he will do a whole pass for us. That's a $45,000 pass for nothing. And she's on board. She keeps telling me, whenever you want it, whatever street you want, whatever you want. But she said, we're very busy right now. I said, why? Well, the Monmouth County mayors met, and they all decided that these paths should be on every single access ramp they have. So they are very busy measuring and doing all the ramps in Monmouth County, but they still will give us one free here in Lavallette. So I'm going to end with that and hope everybody's safe. And thanks for this opportunity. Thank you, Matt. They're setting this all up. I'm sorry that I'm going to call up as soon as this meeting's over and get this darn internet checked, because I don't know why it just wasn't working. So be safe, and thank you so much for the setup. Okay, bye-bye. Thanks, Mayor. Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Bryce, anything?
Yeah, Mayor, if I could, okay. If I could just remind people, based upon some of these comments, the budget is online on our website, lavallette.org. And also, one of the ways that we'll be soliciting comments about the budget is we've set up a website, budget comments at lavallette.org. That's budget comments at lavallette.org. Again, there'll be a link to that on our website and a form as well. If people want to fill a form out, they can send their comments in ahead of time, and then we'll read them. We will be doing comments for the budget just as we did today online, but it would probably go a little better if people submitted their comments ahead of time so that we can have it all streamlined and prepared. In addition, just one other thing, Mayor, I do want to thank all the employees from the police, the public works, the people in the building, the zoning department, and the court, and last but not least, in the administrative division as well. They're really doing a great job keeping everything going on here, and I appreciate it. And I'm very proud to work with all of them.
Thank you, Mr. Bryce. I'm very proud of everybody as well. We are continuing to maintain our high level of service. You can get pretty much anything done that you need to get done here in town. It might take a little while longer than normal. The fact that we're still getting these special projects like the mooring buoys done, to me, is just amazing. The county stopped working on our bulkhead project. They've got labor issues because of this. I'm sure they'll be back as soon as possible. It looks good down there what they finished up, but it's not quite done yet. Looking to get that finished. So I appreciate Matt helping out with this electronic format. Obviously, we have a few little bugs. We'd like nothing more than to have all our smiling faces here. We did have a test earlier, and my own laptop worked fine, and tonight it didn't work. So I don't understand. I'm on my son's computer now doing this. So there are bugs that are beyond our control. We want nothing more than to have all of our smiling faces available for the public to see.
Right.
Do our best to get the next meeting, all the bugs worked out. If there are no more further comments, then I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 That motion is approved. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, good night, good night.
Night.
Good night, good night, Don. Good night, everyone.
That's a whoop.